My name's Bill Rabren. I was a member of the 62 team in the class of 1963. I had the privilege to play 2 years for Coach Jones. I wish I'd have played more. But when you're young, sometimes you don't always make good decisions. But my junior year was a good year, and we played. I didn't get to play much that year, but I was able to start my senior year. Played center, and Sudie was on one side of me, and Teddy Gibson on the other side. And we had some really good players. I wasn't one of them, but I wanted to be good. I just wasn't. But one of the best stories I had of Coach Jones, I remember two games specifically. We were getting ready to play VIII my senior year, the first game in Mobile, Pritchard. And then that summer, we always worked on potato sheds and pitched watermelons and did stuff like that because we knew we had to get in shape or stay in shape or better be in shape when the fall came. I remember Dennis Crosby and I used to work down at Lipscomb's pitching watermelons, and while we were doing all that, we were thinking about VIII and how we wanted to beat them in the fall. And Coach Jones instilled in you that you got to pay the price if you're going to be successful. And sometimes that didn't always register to the extent it should have when we were younger, but as you get older, you think about those things he taught you. But we beat VIII that year in Mobile, and that was the first win of our undefeated season that year. One other game that I remember that had a little personal implication to me when we played UMS. They were undefeated, we were undefeated. There was about 5,000 people out here in this stadium that night. Probably as many people who lived in Foley at that time. But they came from everywhere, but we had a great team, and they did too. But they had a kid that I was going to have to try to block, and Coach Jones knew I probably couldn't do it if he didn't really motivate me, and he probably knew I couldn't do it by myself, but I could double team him with Sudie and with Teddy Gibson, and we could probably do the job. And but on Monday, I practiced that week. I was in there dressing out, and I'd gone in the latrine, and Coach Jones came in there where I was. He looked over at me and he said, Bill, you're going to bleed this week. And I did. What's he mean by that? You know, I'm going to show him I'm going to do everything I got to do to get rid of this game. Well, we had a 9th grade kid named Miller. I believe it was Harry Miller. And we were scrimmaging. He put him right on front of me. And Miller threw a forearm right through that piece of face mask we had and bloodied my nose. That was the first thing that happened, I think, at practice that day, as I remember. But it taught me, I have to think about that later, you know, I was determined not to do that, but he was trying to get us ready. And he was a motivator. He could get you to do things that you really didn't have the talent to do. He'd make you put out and give the effort. And because at 165 pounds, you don't play center too many places. Back in those days you could, but you couldn't be anything today. But it was a great experience playing for Coach Jones and playing with the people I played with and getting to see guys that you knew 50 years ago is a great thing. And there was a lot of lessons, like Norman said, that he taught us. And you don't quit when times get hard or you're going through tough times personally or professionally or whatever, your family. It's easy. Anybody can quit, but you got to keep going. You can't. Quitters never win, and I'm glad to see them.
Never quit.
That's right. And I like to see some of these signs in here that I remember that he had over there in our locker room.
Pride.
And I remember one of them was it was like 90% desirability, 10% ability. One of his favorite sayings was, "You got to want it, son." And that applies to football and to life and all the other things.
Preseason practice, some of the things you went through in preseason. I know the last group talked about the absence of water breaks.
Yes, I don't remember water breaks very often. We took salt pills.
Sucking on a wet towel.
Yeah. And I remember out there where all those buildings are now in that big field out there at the other end of the stadium. Used to be where we practiced, and we had a lot of tough afternoons out there in the hot weather. And Coach Jones would give you a little thing before school started that year and before practice ever started. I guess the toughest time that I ever remember physically was those two-a-days. after your morning practice on the tour days and you get home and you was hurting so bad you didn't think you could walk to the bathroom, let alone come back and practice again that afternoon. Or I did anyway. Maybe I just wasn't in good a shape the rest of it. But I know he was tough on us, and it was supposed to be tough, you know. And but it was a process, like Norman said, that you had to work at, and you had to do what you could do to be part of the team, because the team was what mattered. And I was very proud to be part of that particular team.